The whole point of getting a degree is for you to come out with a job. I applied for over 900 jobs. Sometimes I will be told that I'm overqualified. Then I came up with a strategy. The strategy was I was able to land myself a job in an investment bank.
Right.
But I learned a very important thing when I was in that bank. What I learned was,
how did you manage to switch from that to where you are now?
I realized I was only making money when I work. When it comes to property, you are in control of your investment.
Right.
But most importantly, it gives you cash flow. That is the way to become wealthy.
Welcome to the show, Rahim.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be in your podcast. It's an absolute mind-blowing mindset podcast. I've been reading about what you do. I'm super excited. I'm really excited being here, and I cannot wait to serve you.
Yeah, man. It's interesting. You know, I talk about mindset all the time, and everybody has a journey. And, you know, we all go on this journey. I know I have my journey and you had your journey, but your journey was extremely interesting when we spoke the other day. And I just kind of want you, in your own words, kind of share it with the audience so that they can kind of get to know you as well as I do, man.
Thanks, Bertie. Where do I start? So it is an exciting journey. I wasn't born in the UK, so I moved here at the age 15. As you rightly said, dumped into the street. I found my way to the immigration offices, and they obviously rescued me and put me into foster home. So I was in a foster home during my teenage life and looking after by social services. And yeah, so that's how we all started, basically. So I arrived there, no money, no English, and learn how to speak English from the basic all the way to how I sound or talk to people right now. So it is an exciting journey, but also something that I've never thought about would have happened to me at that age, looking back.
Right. I mean, so when you look at it now, I mean, looking at that journey, what did it kind of teach you, or what did it tell you about yourself, man?
Very important. You see, when you move into a country as a teenager, it's like you are in a position where you're learning the ropes. You're learning even to understand yourself in the first place.
Right.
You're not alone, to learn and understand how a country operates. So it is so different to where I came from, because even the driving, the way they drive cars, where the driver sits in this country is different to the country I came from. So it's an absolute, literally, a new opening space for me to kind of try to absorb myself, learn about who I am, but also learn about the country and the surrounding. But I was lucky enough to be placed to a foster home. That foster home really taught me about how to live in countries like this, how to navigate around the country and kind of understand the sort of people that you want to surround yourself with. It wasn't always easy, because I was in a place where there's lots of crime going, lots of distractions, but they were able to kind of advise me to understand what to do, how to communicate, and how to surround myself with the right people to get me to where I wanted to be.
Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs get rid of those blind spots that they've been carrying around since childhood. So if you're stuck and have some blocks, click the link below for your clarity call, or scan the QR code if you're on video. Let's get rid of those blinds. Now back to the interview. I know that's interesting, because a lot of people go in situations and then they cry foul, like, "Oh my God, I'm in a bad situation. I you know, people around me, my neighborhood." But you didn't take that mindset. You took a totally different road, and you continued your education and you finished college. So tell a little bit about that journey from now. You've been dumped in the streets, 15. Now you're off to college, or how do you even get on that journey or get into college?
Beautiful question. I love the question. So fast forward to about, I think it was 2007 or around that. I was then placed on my with a foster family. Then obviously I had to go to school. to learn the language in the first instance. So I was able to learn the language, and fast forward to a few months later, then they put me to the school, and then start integrating, learning about how learning about different subjects, and then I eventually went to college. The college I could not go to full A level college because I got to have some certain number of subjects to be able to do my A level. So I had to go to a vocational studies, which was happens to be a business qualification. So I had to do a qualification called BTEC, which is a vocational qualification that will fast forward you to get to university. So I was able to kind of get into that course, educate myself with the help of college and university, college and special supports to get me to get that qualification. But it wasn't always easy. See, like when you're new in a country, you don't know about how teenagers are. You don't know how they communicate, where they hang around. So I started hanging around with the wrong sort of people, so to say, right? Because like you want to fit in, isn't it? You want to be
Right.
one of those like, yeah, I'm part of the community and all that sort of thing. But it wasn't always easy because I had to literally be in it just to see how it looks like. But I end up hanging around in town centers, city centers, messing about, don't go home early, and all that sort of thing. So I started to derail, so to speak. I started
Okay.
to move somewhere where my foster mom or the people looking after me wasn't envisioning it for me, right?
Okay.
But as I was doing that, I was kind of okay doing with whatever assignment they gave me because I was very brilliant when it comes to doing my work because
Right.
I know I'm very slow to learn, so I'm always in advance. But when I start getting these distractions, my foster mom obviously pulled me over and said, "Look, you're a very smart guy, you're a very smart boy, and I don't want you to be hanging around with the sort of people that you're hanging around with." And the college has also started to report things like this to me, which I believe
Right.
is not what you should be doing. So obviously, as a teenager, you just want to try. You just hear it, but
Right.
you don't listen and literally
Yeah.
comprehend, right? I start doing the
Yeah.
same thing again. But I was lucky enough to have a foster brother who diverted my attention. Instead of me hanging around the street, messing about, he was able to attract me to go to a place called to places that are called youth clubs, where you
Okay.
can go and hang around with kids that are provided place to stay or to play around after school,
Right.
right? So that then distracted me. I started going there. I loved it because there's so many games to play. You can hang around, you can mess about within a certain confinement. It was beautiful. So I loved that than hanging around. So that
Right.
was that was what helped me, distracted me a little bit from not involving in the things that I was about to do, basically. So that really helped me. And because the thing is, I had a place to go. Because the
Right.
trouble I had back then is after college, where do I go? What do I do? Right?
Okay.
I know in America you call college as university, but here we've got college and we've got university. It's like high school,
Right.
right? So where do I go after that? I didn't have a place to go. So the only place I would go is town centers or city centers just to hang
Right.
around with people. But having that youth club to go to, right, distracted me from going back, hanging around with the wrong sort of people. So slowly, then I get my first qualification, second qualification, and then fast forward to that, I was then able to go to university, and going to university is a whole different part of my journey. Right, it was just different. I'm telling you now, it's a complete different situation. And I walked into the classroom. The classroom, or maybe the lecture theater, had about 250 people in one lecture theater. I'm
Right.
thinking, what is going on here? Right? How can I really have that attention
Right.
to kind of understand? But I wanted to go to uni, but uni wasn't something I really wanted to get into. But
Okay.
like my foster mom told me, in order for me to be successful, I got to have a degree. I got to go
Okay.
to college, university, get a degree, and start working and all that sort of thing. But I was thinking, is this the right thing for me? But because as a child, you just have to go with what your parent told you, right? You don't even ask
Right.
or question it. So I went
Right.
there and obviously worked hard to get my degree. And my second year at university, we got something in this country that we call placement year, where you can take a gap year to go and get experience.
Okay.
so that then when you come back, you can finish off with good experience and better job. So in my second year, which was my gap year, I tried to apply for jobs, right? I tried to apply for jobs. I applied for so many jobs. Unfortunately, I could not get any job, right? I could not get anything. So I had to continue to my third year. So at least I can get a degree.
Okay.
So obviously, then I didn't continue with my third year, completed with the degree. And then when I'm about to finish, they can give you time to start applying for jobs. And that's where I hit a really, really deep shit. Right?
So now think about it. So up to this point now, I mean, you've already had a challenge, right? You dumped into the streets. Now you're in foster care. Just so happened you landed in a great foster home where someone really cared about you and kind of looked after you. Then you had a foster brother who kind of kept you on the track while you were in what we call high school, what you call college, and then you gone off to college now to university, and then now you're finished with university and you hit another brick wall. Now, what's that about now? Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs get rid of those blind spots that they've been carrying around since childhood. So if you're stuck and have some blocks, click the link below for your clarity call or scan the QR code if you're on video. Let's get rid of those blinds. Now back to the interview.
So that was a massive brick wall. And looking back at it, it was a tough one. I had two brick walls. The first brick wall was my immigration status has expired, right?
Oh, boy.
So that was one of the brick wall. In my third year, it got expired. So I had to apply for that. And the second was to get a job, right? Because at the end of the day, the whole point of getting a degree is for you to come out with a job. So I started looking for jobs. Like 6 months in my third year, started looking for jobs. So what I did first is to try to apply for my immigration status, try to get something going. I applied for that. I leave that aside. I get the immigration officers to kind of deal with that, right? So, and then I start looking for jobs. I applied for various jobs. I applied for so many jobs. I could not get any. Literally, I could not get any. And it made me start thinking then, what was the point of going to uni if I cannot get a job? Right?
No, but I think when we were interviewing earlier, you told me it was like hundreds of jobs. I mean, not just one job. I mean, like you applied for hundreds of jobs. Is that right?
More than hundreds. I applied for over 900 jobs, right?
That's what I remember, but I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, over 900 jobs, right? Applying for jobs. Sometimes I will be told that I am overqualified, or sometimes they don't even reply to me. I wish if I can show you all these files of CVs that I've created. But then I came up with a strategy. The strategy was, okay, if everybody is declining my applications, is it to do with my name? Is it because probably it's to do with my name? So I consider even changing my name. Probably that way then they may consider me.
Right.
But before I wanted to do that, I asked myself, how about if I can think about it this way? How about if I can apply for jobs where people can familiar with my name, where we've got Muslims or people that come from here from Asian or African background that are familiar with the name Rahim, right?
Right.
So I strategized that. Then I start looking for jobs where there are these sort of people. So I start looking at Leicester. I start looking at Coventry. I start looking at Birmingham. Right? I know this may not sound familiar to your listeners, but these are the big cities where we've got predominantly Muslim communities that are well known, basically. So I did that strategy, which was my second plan. If that did not work, I would have changed my name, definitely. So I started applying there, and then I applied for another God knows how many jobs there. But I was able to land myself a job in an investment bank.
Okay.
And this investment bank was one of the biggest, but it was the second largest investment bank in the world at the point, right? I was so excited about it. They said, look, we're happy to consider you, come for an interview. And I was excited, really, really excited about it. Went for the interview, 7 levels of interviews.
Wow.
7 levels, right? Unbelievable. I'm telling you that now, brother. It was unbelievable. I'm thinking, what? We want the first stage, second stage. And each stage, some people will be
Right.
dominate how you call it, some people would be relegated, or will be taken off the application process, basically.
Right. Right. Right.
So we went for the first, second, third, fourth, all the way to the 6, 7 stages. It was hard when it comes to the referencing bit. When I got the job, I thought it was all easy. I thought it was all nice now, it's all good. Then it comes to the referencing bit. They start asking me about my great grandparent, my parent,
Right.
right? My jobs. Every single job I did in this country, they had to know about, right? Check criminal records, credit scores. We did all that. It
Right.
was a painstaking process. It was really hard, right? And the 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 surprising fact about that is, you're going through all this process. You don't even know how much you're getting paid, right? You don't even know how much you're getting paid, because they just said it is national wage something. They've got something that they put on your application. They don't disclose it, right? I was like, okay, so
Right.
it's an investment bank. If I can go through this process, it must be a good thing, right?
Has to
Went
be.
we went through all these, right? Finish it. They said, hey, you're all fine now. We're gonna send you the offer pack. They've got something that
Okay.
they call offer pack, right? So what I did then, before I get my offer pack, I then moved from where I was to Birmingham, because I used to live in Bournemouth back then. So
Right.
I packed all my belongings, put everything in a van, and then moved to Birmingham, to a place where I don't even view the property. I don't know what type of house it was. I was just told that
Right.
there's a room somewhere I can accommodate. I rang a friend who knows another friend who helps me to get another bedroom, right?
Wow.
So I did not view the house. I did not do anything. So drove about maybe 4 hours to get to Birmingham. Arrived in Birmingham, so excited. Offload all my belongings, and then walk into this property. It's like it's in a high street. You go through a side alley, a gate, right? You go through a gate. Out of that gate, you go back at the gate, right? And then you walk back. You go past all this drainage and all this sort of thing. At the back, there's this nice brown-ish UPVC door. I opened that
Wow.
door. As soon as you open that door, you walked into the kitchen straight away, right?
Wow.
The kitchen have maybe 3 or 4 cabinets in it. You got the cooker, a standing cooker. On your left-hand side, you have a toilet or bathroom that hasn't got a door. And then I looked at the bathroom. There's no flushing mechanism, literally, right? Nothing like that in there. And then I went upstairs, went to the room, looked at the room. There's no heating. Nothing was working in that room. I'm thinking,
Wow.
what is
Wow.
going on here, right? So I cannot go back, because obviously I was sofa surfing with my friends, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
had to
Right.
literally leave on there. So took my belongings, and then I said, okay, now I'm in. Let me go and use the bathroom, right?
Oh no.
I went to the bathroom. The smell that was
I
coming out
can't
of that
imagine.
bathroom, and used it, right? And then I went to the flush. No flush. Isn't working, right?
No
Isn't
plumbing.
working. No plugging, no literally, right? I had to
Wow.
go and get a bucket, right? Pour water on that bucket for me to be able to kind of flush. And yeah, it was a tough one. So I'm excited, because I thought this is just going to be a
Right.
stepping stone. I've got a job,
Yeah.
right?
Got a
I'm thinking,
job.
okay, I'm going to stay here for like maybe 3 weeks or so. I've got a good job. I'm going to be working for the second largest investment bank. So things are
Yeah.
going to be amazing, right?
Has to
Fine.
be.
It had got to be amazing. So I moved in on a Thursday, right? And then I was due to get my offer pack on a Friday or a Saturday. So that's the reason why I
Right.
moved on a Thursday, because I expect to start work on Monday. Fine. So I moved in, and then I went outside, because you could not the postman do not know where the property is. You got to sit
No.
outside to wait for the post, because
Yeah,
you got to
because
go
it's
through
all
the
in the
alley.
back.
There's no entrance, right? So I had this chair, right? I sat by the door waiting. I waited Friday, he didn't turn up. Saturday, and then he turned up. The motorbike guy turned up, came round, knocked it. There was a DHL. I can remember it vividly. It's a DHL package in a yellow envelope.
Right.
And I grabbed that envelope, open it. All I was looking at the welcome pack. I just want to
Right.
see the letter that
Yeah.
confirms my salary. I open it.
Yeah.
I read it. And then I saw the salary. And it was 17,500 pounds a year.
Wow. So that's a little bit over 1,000 pounds a month.
Yes, I'm thinking, what? Is this all what life is about? I went to university, went through all these processes of interviews,
Right.
only to earn 17,500 pounds a year. That really was a kicker for me. Right?
So that was the start of this desire to move forward, or did you say, you know what, just want to quit now? What was your thinking at that moment? You looked at this letter at 17,000.
Right. When I looked at that letter at 17,000, the first thing I did is to work out the figures. Right. I said, how much am I earning a month? That was about 1,458. Taking all the taxes, you're talking about 900 pounds, right? Or about 1,000 pounds. And I was in a situation where I can't go back to where I came from, because I was living in someone else's house.
Right.
And I'm in this room, or this new home, this place I call home. It's like a shelter. And that I don't want to live in.
Right.
But also, I have no option.
Wow.
Right? So I decided to say, look, beggars have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I got to take the job and then use it as a stepping stone to get me to where I want to be.
Okay.
Right? I said, definitely, I'm not going to move out, because I can't move out with that salary. Right? I can't. Right? I can't move out.
Right.
And when I got the job, my family back in London are thinking, whoa, he's working for an investment bank now, he's earning a lot of money.
Right.
I could not tell them how much money I was earning, because even if I told them the salary, they wouldn't believe me. They think I'm just lying. So I just kept my mouth shut. I never told them about it. And then I started then the job, worked. I love the corporate world. The corporate world is beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And people were so friendly. And the office was beautiful. The office is in a place called Birmingham, Broad Street, just by the library. You've got this nice, grade 2 listed building. As you walk in, you've got all these barriers in. You can feel and sense the corporate life. You've got these coffee machines everywhere. Right? You woke up, you go to this open plan office building. Everybody sits in their computers doing stuff. It's amazing. It's beautiful. You love it, right? You love it. I walked in, it's like, wow, I'm a big boy now, right? I'm working for an investment bank. And then went around, walked around, and had my own little department, but it's all open plan. But you sit with your teammates, right? It was beautiful. I loved it. I was like, wow, this is the place I want to be, right? But it was beautiful. So I started working for the business management department, and one of the jobs that we have is to save cost for the bank. Right. That was the job we wanted. That's the job that my department was given. So obviously we had the task to save the company. But during that process, I had another stumbling block. So the stumbling block was, if you remember, I said I applied for my status, for my immigration, to allow me to stay in the UK as a legal person, right? But I had not got any response. The only thing I had was a solicitor letter confirming that I've applied for my status, right? So the bank took that document, right, as a proof of employment, right?
Right.
But they didn't tell me I had a lifeline on it, right? In order for them to kind of get me to continue working. So first month was fine, second month was fine, third month was fine, and then we get to the fourth month. Then my manager called me in the office asking, HR wanted to speak with me. I said, fine. I said, that's not a problem at all. I went to HR. HR told me, look, we know you've applied for immigration status, and it's been over a year since you've applied for it, right? So we got to know where you're at, because we're not legally allowed to employ people, undocumented people, in our company. So try to find a way to confirm your employment status with us.
Okay.
Your immigration status. I was like, okay, fine, not a problem. I expect it any time from now. I said, okay, now, not a problem. We'll give you about a couple of months to get that to work. Okay, I continue working as normal, right? Nothing happened, right? First month gone, second month gone, and then they gave me 2 weeks warning. They said, look, you got to do this now. If not, we've got no choice but to, ask you to step out. And obviously, we cannot employ you. And I
Right.
can understand their point of view because obviously they are big corporations, right?
Yeah.
You don't really want to employ an illegal immigrant in your workspace. So I could not get the document. So the deadline gone past. I thought they forgot about me, right? That's what I thought. I thought they forgot about me, right? And I remember, and I remember it was a Monday morning. Walked into the office, 9:30, finished my team meeting. All of that. Sat on my computer now checking emails. I saw someone walking towards me. I saw a security guy walking. He's a huge security guy. This security, really tall. He's wearing his shirt. He's so pumped up with muscles. His shirt is barely tearing off. That's how massive he was. So tall with his nice black jeans and this massive shining boots. As he was walking close to me, I can hear him, right? I can hear the footsteps. I can see his eyes beaming right on my face. He's like one of those people that just came from the gym with lots of protein shake going around him, right? And then as he was walking, I can hear the footstep louder and louder and louder. And then he walks in front of, I pretend like he's not coming to me, right? Well, I knew he was coming for me, quite frankly. And then he stood in front of my desk. Then I looked him like that. It's like, Mr. Bah, could you come with me, please?
Uh-oh.
And then I stood up. Then he said, make sure you take your belongings as well. I'm thinking, right? So I took my rucksack I normally take to work.
Right.
He asked me to put the work laptop down because I cannot take the work laptop with me. And then the building has 200 people working on the floor.
Right.
Right?
This beautiful building with all the things, all the shiny stuff.
All the things, all the shiny stuff.
Now you got these 200 people.
200 people, right? Because as soon as they saw the security guard, because security guard do not go to an office floor unless there's a problem, right? It's just not needed. So they were looking at him. They're thinking, what is the guy doing here? Is it lost or something like that? And obviously, then then he asked me to come with him. All these 200 people, 400 eyes were looking at me.
Wow.
Walking, escorting me out of that building. I walked out, went to the security office, asked me for my card that allows me in,
right?
All my credentials, everything to do with the company. I had to leave on that desk, right? And then they gave me a note that says that they unfortunately cannot continue with my employment until I provide legal documentation, immigration documentation to confirm I am eligible and legally allowed to work in the country, right? They will not terminate my employment immediately, but they will give me 2 weeks to sort myself out.
Okay.
And if I cannot sort myself out in 2 weeks, unfortunately, the job is terminated. Fine. So it was a terrible moment, right? It was horrible feeling, and it was one of the toughest times. I looked at myself. I said, look, I sailed through university with all these problems, but now here I am again, right? I have another problem now that I need to sort out. And the worst thing is I can't even go and get another job, right? Because obviously I haven't got an immigration status, right?
Right. You still got the problem.
I've got the same problem. So what I did basically is to went back to my room, get whatever I can get, jump on a bus straight to London. So I went to London. I went to the immigration office straight away, right? I went there, and they asked me if I got an appointment. I said, no, I haven't got an appointment. I'm here for my documents, right? They were like, what? You're here for your document? It does not work like that, right? I said to them, look, I explained to them everything you now know about my employment, saying, look, I need this. If not, I'm not going to be able to work. And I don't want to go on benefit, and I don't want to be illegal. I need this sorted out.
Right.
Right? The lady looked at me, kind of smiling, saying this guy doesn't have a clue about what's going on with his documents. Right? I was like, I need my document. It's like, for me, I know they're gonna reply me positive. I don't even know if it's gonna be a positive result or negative. I just know I need a document, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then this lady was like, you can't. You cannot see your caseworker, because I requested that I want to speak to my caseworker.
Right.
She goes like, no, you can't speak to a caseworker, and you're not allowed. Nobody's allowed to speak to caseworkers. I said, well, I'm going to be allowed because I need to speak to them. He said, no. I sat there. I sat there until 5 p.m., 5:30. They said the office is closed. I got to go out. I went out. Where do I go? I've got nowhere to go. So what I did
Wow.
is to be proactive. So what I did is to use my initiative. I said, okay, instead of messing about, so what I did basically is that I will go to clubs, right?
Right.
Go clubbing until club shuts, because the club shuts at 3 in the morning.
Right.
And then what I then do is to jump on the buses for rides, right?
Wow.
I'll sit on the back of the buses, right? Very nice and quiet. I sleep to the final destination, right? When we get to the final destination, driver wakes me up, and then I jump onto the next one to the next destination, right?
Wow.
So I do that throughout the night until the office opens, until the immigration office opens, basically.
Wow.
And then I go to toilets in the mornings, public toilets, brush my teeth, get myself refreshed, back into the immigration office. I was sat there from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And you did this for a whole week, right?
I did this for a whole week until the last day. I think it was a Thursday, if I remember correctly. This lady observed me, saw me there every single day.
Wow.
And then on Thursday, she came around and asked me, why are you here every single day? I explained to her about my situation. Look, I've got a job. I've got a good job. I want to work. I need my immigration status to confirm I'm allowed to work. That's all I need, right? I need to speak to my caseworker. She goes like, you can't speak to a caseworker, but I'll see what I can do about it, right? I see what I can do about it. I'm not promising you, but I'm going to go and see what I can do about it. I said, fine. So I sat there. I had a conversation with her at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock gone past, 2 o'clock gone past, 3 o'clock gone past. Nothing happens. Nothing absolutely happens. I sat there, Curtis, and I was determined that I got to speak to someone. If not, I will be here for the next 3 or 4 weeks. I don't care. Right? I've got
Wow.
nothing to lose, isn't it? I've got nothing
Right.
to lose.
At this
Got
point, you
nothing
have
to lose.
nothing to lose.
I've got
Right.
nothing to lose. So, and then this lady walked into me at about quarter to 5, when the office is about to close.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes, I might get someone to speak with you, but I'll come back to you and let you know where to meet him. I said, fine. I sat there until 5:15. She came around and said to me that someone wants to speak with you, but you got to go through the back of the building to speak with that person, right? I thought the lady was tricking me to get out of the building so they can shut the office. That's what I thought, right? I'm thinking, I don't want to go because if I go, you're going to close the office, aren't you? Then she goes like, look, I don't have to do what I'm doing to you right now, right?
Right.
But I promise you that you'll meet someone at the back of the building, right? So that's all I would say, right? Then I was like, okay, what do I do now? Should I go? No, should I go? Then one of my mind said, you know what? You go, because you got Monday again. You can come back on Monday. That's
Right.
no problem.
Right.
Or Friday, right? I said, okay, fine. So I walked out of that building thinking whether this lady is tricking me to walk out of that building so they can never allow me back in, or she's
Right.
actually telling me the truth. I walked out, went through the building, side, went the back, because the back is where the staff get into the building to access whatever that they need to access to go to work.
Right.
And obviously then I went at the back. I stood outside the steps, the stairs, in the corner. The door opens. After a few minutes, the door opens. I saw a gentleman walking out of there. He wears a black shirt, bluish jeans, with a nice shoe, very skinny,
Right.
slim, about 5.8 foot tall. Walked down, and then he said to me, Rahim? I said, yes. He said, my name is Anthony, and I am your caseworker. How can I help you?
Wow.
And then he pulled me back in the side of the steps, side of the stairs, because you're not allowed to speak to these people.
Right.
You're not
Right.
allowed, because for their safety, because it could be anything, it could be anyone, because people are desperate to get their statuses, get their immigration document. And then he turned around and said to me, look, I'm looking at your case, right? And I'm dealing with it. Now I know what's going on with you. I will
Okay.
look into it, and I will prioritize it. Then I asked him what would be the result, right? So what would be the outcome of it? He said, look, I can't tell you the outcome, right, because I'm not allowed to. But expect to hear from me Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, right?
Right.
We would do whatever it takes to get you a reply, so you know where you stand. And I look at this guy, I realize he's exactly like me, right? Same
Right.
color, same everything. I held his hands. I said, look, bro, you got to help me, right? I do not want to go in benefit. I don't want to be illegal in this country. You got to help sort me out. Please tell me it's good news. He said, I can't. But all I would assure you, you would hear from us by Saturday.
Right.
Rest assured, you don't need to come back here tomorrow, because it's not going to make any difference. Trust me on this. You will hear from us. I said, fine. And then I thank him. Again, jump onto the tram, get the bus back to Birmingham, because obviously I don't want to miss any post.
Right. Right. Right.
I
You
don't
gotta
want
get
to
back-
miss any
right.
post. I'm going to get back. So I got back, arrived that night. Friday, I sat in front of my little gate, right? Because literally, you will not get your post without sitting outside.
Right.
Right?
You have to
You
wait
got to
for
sit
it.
outside. You got to wait for it. And then I sat there. Friday, nothing happened. Absolutely just nothing. And I said, okay, this is the second week now. This is my last week, basically.
Right.
After this week, I've got
That's
no
it.
job. Literally, this is it. Right? I am unemployed.
Right.
Right? And then Saturday, sat there from 8:30 in the morning up till 7:30 in the evening,
Wow.
waiting and waiting and waiting. Nothing showed up. I was like, well, who delivers post on a Sunday? That's crazy. Nobody delivers post on Sunday.
Right.
But I decided again to go and sit and wait, because you never know what's going to happen.
Wow.
I sat there at 3:30 in the afternoon. I saw a motorbike going round the roundabout, came round, took the side road, looking around to see a dress. Then I pulled him. I said, you're looking for me. Right? I said, you're looking for me. It's Rahim. My name is Rahim, right? So you ready? I grabbed that document off him, right? And then I tear it open. I tear the envelope open, right? Tear it, open it up. And then I realized, boom, I read it. You know, I am pleased to inform you. As soon as you hear that word, it's good news,
That's
right?
it.
And I looked at it, and then they said, we are pleased to inform you that you've been granted indefinite leave to remain.
Wow.
My heart sank.
Wow.
I don't know how
Resilient.
I don't know how to express the feeling. It was an amazing feeling, meaning that I'm not just going to be working. It's not just
Right.
a status to work. That means I'm going to stay in this country indefinite. It's like a green card if you live in America, right?
Right. 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 Right.
It is a permanent stay, right? It is indefinite leave to remain. You can stay as long as you want. You've got the same
Right.
rights as any British citizen, right? Exactly the same. So I was delighted. I was excited. I started visualizing my life. I said, everything's going to change now,
Wow.
right? So Sunday, get myself ready, get my suits ready, walked into the office on Monday morning, and went to HR, handed them the document because it's a little card, right?
Right.
It's like an ID card,
Right.
right? It says indefinite leave to remain in it, 10 years validation, and I handed it over to them. They looked at it. They went and scanned it, like they've got these touches.
Make sure it was
To make sure-
authentic. Huh?
Exactly, to make sure it is all authentic and there's no problem with it. And they looked at it, they checked it, they scanned it, then and gave me the original copy. And then they then escorted me back into my office.
Right.
And then I went back. Everybody's looking at me again, like, what is it doing here? Right? And then, not knowing that, Curtis, there was a speculation going around, rumors saying that
Right.
I defrauded the bank, and that was the
Yeah.
reason why I got escorted, right? Because that is the only reason why someone would be
Right.
escorted out of a building, right?
Right.
That's what they thought. They're like, this guy is a fraudster, right? But when I came back, they're thinking, how can a fraudster come back?
Right.
Clearly,
Right.
it's nothing to do with fraud, right? And then everybody started asking me, oh, why did you get kicked out? Why did this happen? Why did that? Because my manager knew, but due to data protection, he's not allowed to
right.
share it with the floor. Even
Right.
within my teammate, nobody knew what was the problem.
Right.
And I explained it to them, and I started working again. Things started going well, life started happening again,
Yes.
right? And fast forward to 2 months again, I hit another stumbling block.
Oh man.
Right. It was crazy. And this stumbling block got nothing to do with immigration. Right. Got nothing to do with immigration. Immigration now
thing is over now.
it is thing in the past now, right?
Yes.
The next part now is because the department I was working with was responsible to save cost for the bank,
Uh-oh.
right? We've saved them about 3.5 billion or something along that line. So our job was to reduce costs by moving people to India, Ireland, places like that to reduce the cost of the bank.
Right.
And we cut all those costs. And believe me or not, the axe also end up falling on us. Okay? And then they wrote a letter or an email.
They no longer needed you. You had already saved the money. Your department was to save money. You saved money. And they said, okay, now you're out.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. They said, you're out. Right? So we don't need you anymore. Right?
Wow.
That's what they told us. They don't need us anymore. But I learned a very important thing when I was in that bank.
Okay.
What I learned is that the corporate world is a very, very different world. Right?
Okay.
And it is a world where you make money and you spend all of it. What do I even mean by that? What I mean is we go out to bars and pubs every single Friday,
Right.
right? Spend money. And the last Friday of the month is when everybody get paid.
Right.
Guess what happened? Everybody goes to the bars and pubs and clubs.
Right.
They blow all their money.
Wow.
All of it. Right? Taking rounds in buying alcohol. Right?
Yeah.
And then I realized, but what really made me realize it's a crazy world is on a Monday after that Friday, you start seeing your managers, your supervisors borrowing money from other people
Wow.
because they've spent it all.
Wow.
And then I looked at these people, they're in their mid-40s, mid-50s, and I realized, no wonder they call this corporate world the rat race. Right? It is a rat race. Because you work hard, you spend all of it, you've got
Right.
mortgages to pay, you've got car leases to pay, right? You got your upkeep to pay, and you spend all of it in bars and pubs, right? And I looked at myself, tried to future forecast myself with these people. I said, I never want to be like these people when I'm at this age.
Wow.
I want to do something different, right? But that was a very good learning curve for me because I did not feel fit in. It was nice. I was pretending to fit in, but I wasn't feeling it.
Right.
Why am I not feeling it? I'm not feeling it because, one, I don't drink alcohol. Secondly, I don't smoke, right? And I don't take drugs, right?
Right.
So basically, I go with them to the bars and pubs. I only buy a can of Coke or maybe a Red Bull, and then I'm done, right? I pretend to be drunk so I can try to fit in, right? But it wasn't
Wow.
working for me. I'm just a different kind of breed,
Right.
right? I said, you know what? This is not for me. And then when that thing also came, I stopped going Fridays because I wasn't fitting in. And then they
Right.
cut my job. And then I had to start all over again to look for another job, right? And now, but the goodness on this side of things is that I've got the biggest bank on my CV.
Right. Right.
I'm
right.
thinking this is going to be easy for me to get another job, right? I said, no, I'm going to go where the big boys are at, London,
There you go. There you go.
right? And then I applied, as I said, having that bank on your CV was beautiful, right? And then I applied for a job in the city, London, central London, and then I landed myself a job as an accountant, right? Fixed asset accountant. And it was amazing. It was beautiful. I loved it. My salary moved from 17.5 to about 25K, right? I was happy. Whoa, from 17.5K to 25K. That's a massive bump, right? I'm excited. I was jumping about. So I got that job. It was £25,000. I was excited, only to realize I cannot even rent a room with that job, right? So I had to find a
Wow.
family friend to live with to cope with that job. And I kept going. I kept working there. But I always thought if I got another degree, that might increase my pay. Right?
Right.
That's what I thought because that's what we've been told when we're young, right? When you become a chartered accountant,
Right.
you're literally going to get paid more money, right? So I started doing my chartered accountancy qualification, right? I started doing that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing chartered accountancy. And then, but I bumped into the director of that company. Then I asked him bluntly. I said, look, I'm starting my chartered accountancy. It's called SEMA. Right? I said, I want to be a chartered management accountant. What are your thoughts about it? He said, look, Rahim, is beautiful. You are doing that, right? But I'm telling you now, degrees is only to get you through the doors. Right? He said, of all the qualification he had,
Right.
he'd only use statistics of all of it, right? I'm thinking, what?
Wow.
That is when I start thinking then whether this is the right thing for me. Right? Whether I want to be a chartered accountant. Whether I want to be working for someone. They start ringing.
Yeah. So you were talking about now you're in this corporate career and you realize that this is still not for you. So now how did you manage to switch from that to where you are now to real estate? I mean, now you own a multi-million-dollar portfolio of real estate. What happened, Rahim?
So it is a corporate world. I believe I was cheated. I believe I was lied to. And I also believe that I could do better with my life, right? Because I realized my manager's working ridiculously long hours, so always stressed out, right? And not living happy life. And for me, I had not future forecast myself that way. And I started looking for different stuff, but I was always putting that in the back burner because obviously as everybody would be told, I'll go to university to get a degree. But what really triggers it for me was one Sunday morning, I woke up with a striking thought. I asked myself, what if I got ill? What if I got ran by a bus? Or what if one of my children got ill?
Right.
I realized my company may look after me for a couple of months or so. But then after that, I'm on my own. I realized I was only making money when I work. So in essence, if I don't work, I don't make any money.
Right.
So from that day, that hour, that minute, that second, I made it my responsibility to take my finances into my own hands instead of relying on my employers. Right? So I looked into crypto. I looked into Forex. I looked into trading stuff online. I looked at so many avenues. I always put properties at the back burner because I was told I need 70, 80, 90, 100,000 pounds to start my investment. Looking at my salary of 25,000 pounds, I realized I would have to save for 25 to 50 years to be able to get that money. So it wasn't something I was thinking about. But yet, I thought about it because I knew when it comes to property, it is a solid thing. Right? It's solid. It's there. You can walk past it. You can drive past it. You can visit it. You can even hug it if you wanted to. Right? Nobody will take it away from you. Right? A director will not call you and say, oh, the company did not perform well today. Your dividend is down, or we're not paying dividend. Right? A director will not do something silly online that will impact you. The company will not do something silly that will impact you. You are in control of your investment, aren't you? Right? But most importantly, it gives you cash flow. Right? It makes you money every single month without buying or selling anything. So for me, that was a very valuable thing. But also the cash flow. Sorry, the appreciation. It goes up in value. Right? So properties goes up in value in the UK in the past 10 years, in the past 80 years. It's going up for 10% every single year for the past 8 years in average. So I start thinking, if I buy a property at worth 100,000 now, in 2 years' time, that property worth 121,000 pounds. Right? And I would have collected rent every single month during that process as well. For me, it was a no-brainer. Right? I said property is going to be the thing. Right? That is the way to become wealthy. That's the way to become to become really rich. Because start looking at all the successful people, all the billionaires. I'm thinking, what? This is crazy, right? All the billionaires are in real estate, right? Bill Gates is one of the biggest landowner in America, right? Warren, people knows him about stock and shares, but he dump all his money in real estate, right? He swing the market, make money, and then he put it in real estate. That's what he does, right? Berkshire Hathaway is one of the biggest real estate companies. Right?
Yeah, that's his company.
I looked at the formula. I'm thinking, wow, these guys are clever. That's exactly what they're doing. Create a business that generates your income and you dump the money in real estate. It's as simple as that. Right? But obviously I did not have the money, right? And then I started looking, searching about properties. Then I bumped into this video. This video is what changed my life. I saw this video. It was about this young gentleman parked his Range Rover Sport outside of a house, camera beaming through the house and saying, I just secured this property. He walked out of his car. He's a bit of a chubby guy. Walking towards the property, opened the door. He was so excited. The cameraman is actually looking through the house as well, right? And then he goes like, this bedroom will generate me £600. That other bedroom generated me another £600. He went upstairs, doing all the bedrooms.
Right.
And then it goes to the sitting room. This is going to be a sitting room. This is going to be a kitchen. This is going to be a bath. Explain all that. I said, this property will generate me about £2,500 every single month. And I'll be making about £500 net profit every single month. And the best part? He said, I don't even own the house. I'm thinking, what? How can you make all that money without owning the house? This is illegal, right? This is impossible, right? He said, I don't own this property. Right? I rent it from a landlord, and I subsequently rent it out on a room-by-room basis. That's all I did. I said, no, this can't be true. I went to his YouTube channel, started looking at the videos. I saw he's doing multiple of these deals. And then I thought he's still a fraudster. I literally switched off his channel, and I went to search for the actual word, rent to rent. I realized few people are doing it. I'm thinking, whoa, this is my calling. I'm definitely going to do this now, right? I'm going to do this, right? And then I went to my bank account, I checked my bank account. I didn't have money in it. But I was lucky enough to be living with my landlord, right? I went to my landlord, so excited, Curtis. I went to my landlord, I said, look, I want to get into properties and I'm really, really serious about this, right? I've got this strategy where you can rent the property from a landlord, you subsequently rent it out. He was thinking, what? That's not allowed. That is illegal, bro. I'm thinking, no, it's not. It's illegal. You can't sublet. I said, no, it's not sublet. Right. It's going to be a commercial let, okay? It's going to be a commercial. He said, look, Rahim, I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't make sense to me. But because he said you haven't got money, if you secure a deal like that, the landlord allows you to do it, right? I will invest the money.
Wow.
That's what he told me. He said, I will invest the money. You go get the deal, come back to me, I will invest. I said, fine. Then I start looking for these deals, Curtis. It wasn't always easy. I work at 7 a.m. in the morning, come back home at 6, have dinner, I'm on my laptop. I did that every single day for 6 to 7 months. No day off. I'm on my laptop from 7 p.m. until 12:30 or 1 a.m. in the morning, looking for properties deals, educating myself, watching videos, self-teaching myself. Anything I could do, I was doing, basically.
Wow.
Slowly, get so many headbangs, went to speak to landlords. Some of them tell me they're not going to rent their property to me because I'm black. You know, I had all these things going round, but I did not give up one bit. I did not give up. But also, what really held me back, Curtis, is something that held lots of people.
Understand.
And that thing was, I did not believe in me. I did not believe the way I sound. I think, I wasn't born in this country.
Right.
I don't speak like everybody else. And my color, people don't like my color. That really held me back. I will book all these appointments. As soon as I think about that, I'm walking back. I'm going back home. I'm going back home because I think I'm not going to be able to do this because the way I look, the way I sound, and I wasn't born in this country, and nobody's going to listen to me. Especially when that landlord told me, I'm not going to rent my property to you because you're black. It just reinforced what I believed subconsciously. Right. It was a really draining thing. But I went to this.
What changed?
What changed? I went to this event. I wish I know that guy. I suspect it's Gary V, but I can't remember vividly. I went to this event, and this guy said, every individual in this room is born to be different. Every individual in this room is unique. And your thumbprint says it all. He said, every individual in this place got a different thumbprint. Hence, you're all unique and you're all made to be different. It's society that tells us you got to fit in. But every single individual is born to be different. And you are different breed. So do not try to fit in. It's like he was talking to me.
Right.
It's like he's talking to me.
That's
literally.
Exactly what you needed
that's
to
what I
hear
needed
at
to
that
hear.
time.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I needed to hear. And I said, what? Fine. Beautiful. That was a light bulb moment for me. Then from that day onwards, every single day, I look at myself in the mirror. I said to myself, I'm born to be different. I'm born to be me.
Yes.
Right? If you don't like me, it's your business. I'm going to do my own thing. Right? I am going to be successful. I am relentless. I'm an action taker. I'm never giving up. Right?
Powerful affirmation.
I tell that self to myself every single day. I'm successful. I'm relentless. I'm an action taker. I'm never giving up. Right?
Wow.
At the beginning, it sounds stupid, right? Because obviously, I do not believe in myself. But I'm saying all these things. But subconsciously, I start engraving these patterns in my head. And I start believing it. I'm believing that then changed the mindset. I snapped.
Yeah.
I start speaking to landlords. I got this courage. I got this. I start listening to my voice, because that's the first thing also I did. I recorded myself. I start listening to myself because I got to use the way I sound. Right? I got used to that. When I got used to that, I did not care whether you understand my accent, whether you understand how I speak. I'll make sure I speak the basic way for you to understand what I'm saying.
Right.
I don't care about my accent.
Yes.
Fast forward to 7 months, I was able to secure my first property deal. Went to the landlord, spoke to the landlord. I said, look, I'm happy to take your property on a guaranteed rent basis. He said, fine, no problem. I went to my landlord I'm living with, right? Tell him about the opportunity. He said, you sure you got a property? I said, yes, I got a property. I do have a property. They goes like, sure, yes, we went. Had a meeting with the landlord. Said, yes, I'm happy to give him the property and all that sort of thing. He can do whatever he want to do with it as long as he pays me my rent every single month.
Right.
I took the contract. We signed the contract. So excited, sign it. And as we're walking out of the property, my landlord, the one I'm living with, now my joint venture partner,
right,
walked out and walked back in. He went and asked the landlord, why did he allow me to sublet the property? I'm thinking he's going to kill the deal. Why are you asking the question again? Then that landlord, then, because he wanted to know why would someone do what he just did, then the new landlord then said, the reason why I allow Rahim to do this in my house, one, I'm a biochemist. I haven't got time to manage the property. This is a property I inherited from my dad. I've never been able to rent it fully because of time constraint. If Rahim can guarantee me the rent every month, why not? Then landlord said, it makes sense. Right? It makes sense. And then that's how then I was able to secure that property. But before this happened, I've already started living with my wife. Right? Wow. So I invited my wife. I got married. And my wife then got a visa to come and reside with me in the UK. Okay. And then obviously then we lived in a 1-bedroom house, right? 1 bedroom in a 9-bedroom house.
Right.
Right?
Right. You lived in a 9-bedroom house and you were in one of the rooms in a 9-bedroom house.
I was one of the rooms in a 9-bedroom house, right?
Wow.
And as soon as my wife arrived, then obviously she got pregnant. And then it was so quick, so fast. And my wife could not even speak proper English. So back then I was working then. And then I spoke to her. I said, look, I don't like what I'm doing. I want to quit. Well, I really do want to quit. And she said, look, I'm behind you. Do whatever you want. Do whatever makes you happy. Right? And obviously I told my manager, look, I want to quit. And I want it to be confidential. And then, I just want to go. So it was a confidential thing. So we go and play football every Friday. When we were in the locker room, I told one of my colleagues, look, I want to quit. I'm quitting, but don't tell anybody else. Right? And as soon as we went to the pitch to play soccer, America call it soccer, this guy went and told everybody, Rahim is quitting, Rahim is quitting, Rahim is quitting.
Wow.
Rahim is quitting his job. And then one of them guys called me and said, Rahim, do you know what you're doing right now? Your wife just arrived in this country. She barely speaks English. Right. You live in a 9-bedroom house, shared house, that is. You only got a room.
Right.
And you're quitting your job. That's crazy, bro. And you got a baby along the way. That's crazy. Why are you doing this to yourselves? Why are you doing this to yourself? Then he goes like, I said to him, look, bro, I'm tired. I don't just want to be here. I just want to go. I just want to go. This is not made for me. I want to go. Right? Monday, everybody knew about me leaving the job, right? And then obviously I had to fast forward that, right? I went to my manager and said, look, I was working so long hours, Curtis. I've got banked hours.
Right.
So I said, can I use my banked hours so I can quit job earlier? Because I just cannot stand it anymore. People start messing, gossiping me. Then she can, if you can speak to HR, if HR allows you, then why not? I went to HR. HR said, look, you've got about, I don't know if you have 100 hours banked or something like that. They said you can use those hours. We can reduce the time of your redundancy or resignation notice. Then they brought it down to about 2 weeks.
And you still get paid.
Yeah. And then I still get paid. And then obviously then I left the job and then started my own property stuff. So now, why did I do that? I did that because I knew the only way I would survive is by doing this full time. Right? I've tested it. It seems like it's working. I got to do something now.
Right.
right? So I see myself as getting a boat to an island
Yes.
and then burn that boat so I'll never have to go back.
Wow.
I got to survive in that island. That's what I did. So obviously it went really, really tough, right? Then I realized how expensive it is to look after a woman and a baby. Very expensive, right? Very expensive. But yeah, it wasn't always easy. Fast forward, got my first property, second property, third property.
Mm.
And then I was able to use the money I made from those properties to start buying my own properties.
Right.
I developed my own real estate portfolio, and then got my estate agency. And I was able to build that to a multi-million-pound property investment portfolio. I now have a brokerage, a development company, and I now help professionals to use my tried and tested method to make money work for them instead of them working for it, but also to make working for someone as an option instead of an obligation.
Right. Wow. Man, that's a story, man. I mean, obviously, we went like twice as long as I normally go on a podcast, but I just wanted the world to hear your story and your journey, and your resilience, and your determination, and understand what it truly takes to be and how and be the best version of yourself, man. And I'm telling you, Rahim, I appreciate what you share with the world today, man.
Thank you.
And we'll probably have you back just to kind of really delve into the real estate part of it, because now we know who the man is and what you did to become who you are. Now we want to share with the world your formula for helping others to become the best version of themselves. Is there anything else you just want to leave with the audience today, man?
So, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm happy to come back to continue the journey with you, definitely.
Yeah.
And just let me know, let my team know. I'm happy to come back. So, the thing I'm going to leave with your audience is that people underestimate what they can do in a day. People overestimate what they can do a day, but they underestimate what they can do in about 5-6 years. So my advice to your audience is that no matter what your situation is, it's never too late. It's never too late to execute your dream. If the elderly man who founded KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken,
Right.
started a company and made that company one of the biggest franchise in the world, anybody can do what they set themselves to do. So so that's my advice to them. Literally go execute mindset. You are a mindset coach, right?
Yeah,
You're
that's
yourself,
what I do, man.
right? Look for someone like Curtis to actually help you with the mindset, because here's the thing. 80% of success is mindset, right?
Yeah.
It's only 20%. That is the skills that you need. But everything else is mindset. People like you should be the people that everybody should be reaching out to actually help themselves, get them to where they want to be. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, my name is Rahim Bah Properties on Instagram, or you can go on YouTube. You can watch my YouTube. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rahim Bah, and I'm sure I will give Curtis all those details as well. Should you want to get in touch?
Yeah, we're gonna have all that stuff below, guys. Rahim, number one, once again, thank you, guys. Thank you, man, for being a part of this show. I mean, you made my day. Your story is so encouraging, even for me. You know, knowing what I've gone through, but everybody has a journey, and we can all look at our journey. But your journey of resilience, your journey of determination is just like textbook, man.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's the stuff that I teach people, and you just kept going regardless of what you were faced with. You kept moving forward. Also, would like to thank the listeners for kind of sticking with us. Obviously, this is much longer than we normally go, but that's okay. I mean, if this is something you need to hear, I felt like you needed to hear, and that's why I let him go. I let him just really tell his story and share his journey with you. Guys, you also remember that true success comes when you embrace what we call a legit mindset, which actually was exemplified in what he did. He was learning, he was growing, he was expanding, he was transforming. Every step of the way, he learned something new about himself, He learned something, how he could grow, how then he could expand, and then he continued to transform. And he's still moving and learning and growing and transforming into a multi-million-dollar a company there, which is phenomenal. You know, that's what it takes to be transforming every day. If this episode really resonates with you and you're ready for a breakthrough, now you says, wow, I need some help to do what Rahim did. Number one, you need to get his course so he can teach you how to do the real estate part, and you need to get me to help you to do the mindset part. Both of them together, we can make it happen. So just click on the links below for a free clarity call with me so you can unlock your full potential. I'm Curtis McCullum. Make it a great day, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the show.